Hello, welcome to Current News. I'm your host, Chris Davis, and today we're going to talk about the White Supremacy Rally that happened this past weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia. So in Charlottesville, Virginia, there was a White Supremacy Rally. It all started last Friday when a movement called Unite the Right was protesting the removal of Robert E. Lee. The group had Ku Klux Klan wizards, neo-Nazi members, and they were carrying torches and a white shield, and they all gathered around the Confederate statue saying, "You will not replace us, Jews will not replace us." So this got a lot of backlash. There was counter protesters protesting against them, Black Lives Matter group, and anti-Nazi groups protesting against them, chanting and singing, and things were getting heated Friday night, but it didn't get terrible until Saturday morning when the tension escalated to racial taunting, shoving. Then it was an all-out brawl. The police had to retreat, and the governor had to call a state of an emergency. The governor of Virginia, he said that this is not a lawful assembly, and he told everyone to leave or you will be arrested. So the National Guard and the Charlottesville police worked together, started pepper spraying, and the people started to disperse. Some people were stubborn and they got arrested. But that's not the worst of it. What happened next was after everyone dispersed, someone in a gray car with an Ohio license plate drove into a group of counter protesters. People were flying in the air. People were jumping out of the way. What happened was the death of one person, and there were others who were injured. But that wasn't the last of the death toll. Two more people died. State troopers in a helicopter who were covering this event, their helicopter eventually crashed and two state troopers died. So we had 3 people die in this white supremacy rally. People have said that this is the biggest white supremacy rally in like decades. Of course, after all this violence, Democrats and Republicans condemned the violence. Melania Trump condemned it. President Obama condemned it with a nice quote from Nelson Mandela. Jeff Sessions condemned it. So did Paul Ryan, the governor of Virginia, of course, and so did the mayor of Charlottesville. He also ridiculed Donald Trump, saying to him, does he realize who he was with on his campaign trail? Donald Trump, of course, criticized the violence, but people criticized Donald Trump because he didn't criticize the Unite the Right movement enough. He just said both sides. People wanted him to criticize the Unite the Right movement even more. And you know, some people say that he didn't criticize them at all because that's his base. That's who got him elected. Those were the people who were with him on his campaign trail. He got an endorsement from the Ku Klux Klan. If any political candidate got an endorsement from the Ku Klux Klan, that would have ended their campaign unless they condemned the Ku Klux Klan and ostracized the Ku Klux Klan like away from them. But Donald Trump got an endorsement from them, and people say that's his base, so he's not going to criticize them at all. To give you a little bit more information so you all can see this, let's watch a video clip from NBC News.
Are calm at this very moment, but behind me, police are still working the scene here where the fatal accident occurred. Witnesses saying that this driver came plowing into a crowd of counter-protesters. People went flying in every direction. We had at least one fatality here. A short time ago, they did arrest a suspect in this, but we don't know his identity. The police chief moments ago said that this was, in fact, an intentional act. In the entirety of this incident here in Charlottesville, more than 3 dozen people injured. This has been a day of heated racist rhetoric and violence. A horrifying scene in Charlottesville as this car plowed into a crowd of people. The driver then backing up, and witnesses say dragging at least one person.
It's barreling towards the protesters. I jump out of the way and scream, car!
3 cars involved in the chain reaction crash, killing at least one person. That's when he went right through the crowd. Brennan Gilmore and Chris Mahoney took video of the moment of impact. He took aim at the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very narrow street, and he sort of slowed down and then just slammed into them very, very hard.
It happened 2 hours after a planned protest billed as Unite the Right was shut down by police at a nearby park. Hundreds of white nationalists, some wearing what appeared to be uniforms, carrying weapons, Confederate flags, and Nazi symbols, clashed with counter-protesters. The rally originally meant to protest the city's decision to remove the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, but it quickly turned to chaos.
You will not replace us!
Unite the Right organizer Jason Kessler live-streamed this video.
Look, we're being gassed now. The Charlottesville Police Department is allowing people to come in here and gas us. They won't allow us into the event, even though we had a permit.
If you do not disperse immediately, you will be arrested.
Police stepped in, a massive presence, clearing the demonstrators from the area, declaring it an unlawful assembly, the largest deployment of Virginia State Police in nearly 3 decades. Tensions began simmering last night when white nationalists carried torches in the city, eerily reminiscent of Nazi Party propaganda events in the 20s and 30s. Today, President Trump responded to the violence.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides.
The mayor of Charlottesville also weighed in, saying he is brokenhearted and urged people to go home. We have another tragic development. A state police helicopter was working all day, hovering above the crowd, watching the developments. It crashed a short time ago. The governor of Virginia tells us that 2 state troopers died in that crash. So we now have 3 people dead here in Charlottesville, Virginia, or nearby, and at least 3 dozen people injured in what may have been the biggest white nationalist attraction or event in decades. Jose?
Tom Costello, thank you very much.
Watch that clip. What we just saw was awful. The racial slurs, the racial taunting. I'm, for one, am very disappointed in our country. I thought we were way past this by now. I just expected more from people. I didn't expect us to still have this issue, but we do. Now, don't get me wrong. I knew there may be some racial tensions then and there with Black Lives Matter and maybe Trayvon Martin, but I didn't think it was this bad. So I really expected more from my country. I'm glad that the National Guard and the police were able to work together to disperse the protest. Whoever drove that car into that group of counter protesters, that person should be prosecuted and convicted as a domestic terrorist, because that's what ISIS did in Paris. They got some kind of vehicle and they ran into a group of people. So whoever did that should be prosecuted as a domestic terrorist. That's all we have for today. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you liked this video, you found it informative, please leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And all of you, have a great day.